Okay, just to start out, we are going to rule out Shaq and Alec Pierce for the game. Obviously, Shaq continues to make good progress. Had a good week. Talked to him several times this week, including this morning, and feel like we took a good step this week, but we'll still continue to take that week to week. Alec didn't get to a point where he could clear the protocol this morning, so he will be out, but feel like he's making good progress. So he was ruled out. And then just, the walkthrough today, in case anybody's wondering that I've pretty much been planning that all week from the beginning of the week. Knowing we're going down to Jacksonville, wanted to get 2 really good days, Wednesday and Thursday in the heat, working hard, and then give our players a chance to recover on Friday and Saturday. So was kind of thinking that the whole way. So open it up from there.
What is Pitt okay with the quad?
Yeah, I mean he'll be questionable for the game. He'll be questionable for the game.
Did he get hurt in the game?
No, it was he got. What we think happened is that not really sure, to be honest with you. He just came out to practice on Wednesday, and felt something on Wednesday that he didn't feel after the game or anything like that, and it was like, well, what the heck's going on here, And so took him out of practice as a, mainly as a precaution, but so whether it came from a hit from the game or whether it came from a little strain or something, early in practice, really not sure, to be honest with you.
Buckner, Frank?
Yeah, he'll be questionable for the game as well. Made progress during the week. Want to be smart and give him the best chance to play. So really, with today being a walkthrough, it kind of us afforded. And again, the walkthrough decision, I can just tell you, had nothing to do with any player's injury. There wasn't one player's injury status that affected whether we were going to walk through or not today. That was a decision that I thought was best for the team.
Earlier in the week was, it's really hot down there. Let's go really hard Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Lessen the load Friday.
Yeah. Yep.
Kenny Moore, is he going to be okay for the game?
Yeah, I mean, he had that hip. That was out of practice. That was out of practice Wednesday. He'll be questionable, but is making good progress.
So with today being a walkthrough, you weren't able to maybe gauge these injured players like you might if you had a normal practice. How did you figure that out?
Yeah, well, we still got tomorrow to just be sure. So, if we had practice today at a full speed tempo, we would have tested those players before practice to make sure they were okay. You could argue, and this again wasn't the reason, it just ended up being the byproduct of it. By not doing anything today, it really gave you another day before you have to test them. Right. So maybe another day to recover. So in my mind, that could have been good, but again, that was more a secondary thing.
Frank, this isn't related to this week's game or anything, but just your broad views on how the game has shifted towards the passing the last couple of years. Do you think a team with a star running back can get all the way to the Super Bowl with that? And how have you seen your views change on that? From you go back to when you played, it was just totally different.
Yeah, no, that's really fair. I think you have to be dynamic. At some level, you got to be dynamic in the pass game to go all the way. So
was that always the case?
I think it's always been the case. There's a few exceptions to that. There's a few exceptions to that over the years, not many. But for us, but then you look, and we've said this before too, most of the time the Super Bowl winners have a top 5 rushing team. They're kind of sneaky good at running the ball. Not always, but there's a fair amount of time if you look at it, and as I have. I mean, I don't know what the exact percentage is, but when you look at those final 2 teams and those final 4 teams, man, if you're a top 5 run team, there's a lot of evidence that says it gives you a good chance. But to be a top 5 run team and to be a bottom 5 that's not going to work. That's not going to work. You got to be dynamic in the pass game. So we feel like we have the guys to do that, and are excited to, get an opportunity to prove that this week and this year.
Frank, with not knowing Pittman where he's going to be, and without Pierce, it's really going to call into the game your depth at receiver. I mean, I assume you're confident, comfortable, whatever the word is.
Very much so. Very much so. We've said that right from the beginning. As Chris and I looked at it, going into camp, I've always been of the opinion that, hey, we're in good shape. I have a lot of confidence in these guys. I'm optimistic that I'm hopeful that Pitt will be fine. But, Dez will step, if we've got to activate Dez, he had a great week of practice. He's had a really good training camp. We got Kiki, who we think very highly of. If he ever had to be called up, he's proven in this league he can play and that it's not too big for him. He can make plays, so we feel good about our guys.
Who decided on the kicker yet? Which one you're going with?
No, they both kicked out there today, so it was a walkthrough, but we did have a kicking period where both guys kicked. We'll sit down here in a minute and kind of work, Chris and I will talk that through and make a final decision on that, here either today or tomorrow morning.
Let me ask you this way. Are any of these questionable guys, would you consider any of their injuries to be major of any kind?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.